talking about solving system equations by graphing. Now, what I want you to understand is that this lesson starts at the bottom of page 10. Now, what we talk about in this lesson is a system of equations. So what I want you to imagine is that you have two or more lines that cross at a point. Now, an example of that would be two lines that cross like so. Now, basically, what we have to do is we have to look at this thing called the point of intersection. The point of intersection is what we call the solution. So let's go over a real world example. Now, Mac is offered 2 sales jobs. Now, these 2 sales jobs are going to pay him $500 per week plus 5% interest in sales. That's one. And then the second one is going to be $250 per week plus 15% in sales. Now, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to actually take a moment. We're going to have to graph this thing. So let's go and graph it. Now, the first thing that I want you to do is we're going to have 2 equations. We're going to have equation 1, equation A, and equation B. Now, equation A is going to represent the $500 per week plus the rate of 5% interest sales. And then equation B is going to represent the $250 per week plus the 15% in sales he makes. Now, when you graph this, you're going to have two lines. So as you can see, the first line is $500 per week. Okay. And it's 5%. Its rate is 5%, which is less than the 15% on the second graph. So that is our basic equation for our first line, 0.05x plus 500. And our second graph is p is equal to 0.15x plus 250. And we have a point of intersection, which is right here. Now, before the point of intersection, the place where you get the most money is the red line. And after the point of intersection, the place where you make the most money is the blue line. Make sure you also label the sides of your equation as pay and sales. When we talk about the point of intersection of the sales mean, if you think about it, what's happening is both jobs make the same pay, okay? And they both sell $25,000. Sorry, if you both sell $2,500, everybody makes the same pay. Now, when you're actually considering factors for Mac when he's trying to get a job, you want to consider the following. Just pause this and copy what you see. So, the only thing he really has to consider is if he can sell more than $2,500, so he could make more money, or what is he selling? Is he selling cars? Is he selling houses? Now let's move on to the next problem of the day. So now, how do these systems of equations relate to the real world? Let's pause this. And what it allows us to compare is different business profits, pays, and before the POI and after the POI cases. So, there are possible solutions that you could have for system of equations. So if there's no solution, then we have the same slope and different y-intercepts. So you have this scenario here. where you have two parallel lines, they don't meet. The next type of solution is where you have one solution, and that happens when two lines don't have the same slope, but they meet at one point. In this case, the slopes aren't the same, and the y-intercepts aren't the same. The b1 is not equal to b2. And now our third solution, which has many solutions. This one is where we literally have two lines that overlap each other. Okay? And essentially we have line 1 equaling line 2. Pause here and just copy what you see. Here's an example of what we would do using Desmos. Imagine I gave you two equations. Okay? You don't know what they are. You're gonna use Desmos to graph them. So once you use Desmos to graph them, this point here is your y-intercept, your solution, so to speak. Okay? Now you would just read that directly off the graph. Another way to do this would be simply by solving for y on this first equation. Y is equal to 2x minus 5. Subtract 2x from both sides, and you get y is equal to negative 2x minus 5. And from there, you can graph it. You find your y-intercept of negative 5, and then you can use any point on, and then you can use the slope to find the next point on it. The same situation can be done for the other equation. Now remember, you're supposed to use Desmos, but if you don't have Desmos, you just solve for y. Subtract 2x from both sides. Now subtract the 9 from both sides. And now solve for y. Remember for this lesson that you'll be using Desmos to solve for any equations that's not into y equals mx plus b form. Alright. So this boy. So we got Chubby Fitness Club, which charges a flat fee of $25 per month, and Lean Mean charges a flat fee of $35 a month plus $3 per visit. So let's write an equation for each club. Okay, so for the Chubby Fitness Club, it's 5x plus 25, and for the Lean and Mean, it's 3x plus 35. Now what we do is we just graph this in Desmos. Graphing it in Desmos will allow us to figure out the point of intersection. And in this case, the point of intersection is 550. The 5 is our x and the c is our 50. What does the point of intersection mean? It means the following. For 5 visits, for both of them, for both of these businesses, it costs $50. Okay? And that's for both clubs. Okay, so now, what advice would you give yourself? Well, before 5 visits, I would use Chubby because it's cheaper. After 5 visits, I would use Lean and Mean because it would be cheaper overall. And that's it. Your homework is page 201, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 11.